And what I was working out in my head was this whole thing with Bucks County and the way that they went about um, coming at me. It was kind of, how could I say it? Okay, how do I say it this way? I knew from the beginning they were going to come for me. I knew in 2007. So when they came after me for harassment in 2020, 2021, locked me up, put me in a mental hospital, come to find out I've passed with flying colors. What's funny is I knew they were coming back in 2007. So whatever they did, and this is a fact, this could be verified from with all their video they have of me, is that I've always gone to the authorities in a very prone position or a very submissive position, approaching Yardley Borough, approaching the state police barracks in Trevose, Pennsylvania, um, dealing with Yardley Borough or with the Bucks County. I've always gone in a very respectful. I've kept my uh, peace throughout and never showed signs of anger or physicalness. I've never gotten arrested for a physical assault, and that's why when they try to 302 me, having trying to set me up by having Officer Glock have me put my hands on him, it was very well choreographed. It was a surprise to me, but every turn that they used to try to get me to be frustrated or to lash out, they've been doing since 2007. So whatever they were trying to do in 2021, even when they put me in solitary confinement in Bucks County Correctional Facility, they had me in solitary confinement for 4 to 5 hours without a bathroom. And in which case, like after 2 hours or so, I had to go to the bathroom. I was in the kitchen working, so they threw me in solitary because guard, I was assaulted um, uh, unprovoked from a fellow inmate, and then I got put away for hours, and I had to use the bathroom, and it was really really bad, very 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 bad. The pain was excruciating. I was banging and banging and banging and banging on the doors and banging and for guards. I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, please let me go. And like this went on for a while, and nobody responded. So this was painful. Like I was in solitary because somebody accosted me, assaulted me. I said this isn't really funny. So they were trying to get me upset in the kitchen by this guy putting chili over my head, hot chili, mind you. And I did not react to the big guy. It was a really big guy too. So whatever they were working out, good for them. But the biggest guy in the kitchen, he takes hot chili in a cup and pours it over my head in front of the whole line with everybody watching me, watching us while I was working, dishing out food for other inmates. So we're on break between cells, blocks, and he takes a cup of chili and puts it over my head. And then I get locked up for hours, solitary. And they were trying to get me to react in the kitchen, and they were trying to get me to react sitting in the solitary. And then I also volunteered. I also worked in the kitchen, got paid. I worked in the laundry, got paid. I got paid to watch mentally ill people during Christmas. It's all in my book. Um, where I had to monitor somebody 8 hours a shift, 7 hours a shift, 7 hour shifts, sit in front of the window while they're in their solitary confinement with either naked or blankets. I had to sit there and watch, make sure they didn't kill themselves. Suicide watch, I would guess they call it. And sometimes they wrap the people up in straitjackets. or they have the other inmates tease them or hurt them and try to provoke them, and it's set. And the guards let it happen. Anyways, I got paid to do that too. So it was very enlightening. And then being accosted at um, Norristown State Hospital unprovoked too. You know, I didn't react to him. I didn't react to the guards. I didn't react to anybody. Like they keep trying to. They've been sending messages, cracking my phone, lying to me, keeping me in there longer than I should have, having my public pretender turn on me, and which my point is that they did all these things, and I knew this was coming before it was happening. I knew this in 2007. So my point to all of this is yes, they've been coming at me because I've gotten closer to the truth, and they know it. Because they weren't expecting whatever they were, whatever they were trying to do to get me to react. It never worked. Not in 2007, not in the court processes, not in the criminal processes, none of this. Like none of this caused me to get angry because of my faith and because I knew they were playing a game. See, the problem is that I knew in 2007 a game was starting, and that's when I knew Josh wasn't safe. And that's what I knew when I made the phone call to Child Protective Services, that this was a war. They started a war against Josh, and I didn't understand why. Um, I know they were trying to make it about me, but I'm not the one here that made the phone. I mean, I made the phone call for Josh. And throughout this whole thing, they never protected Josh. And I think because I caught them never protecting Josh, that the fact that they covered for the court reporter, that's what the issue is. See, now I found them in neglect and harboring somebody tried killing my son and covering up for her and never investigating and lying. But when I've uncovered all these things because I have thoroughly done the investigation and I can prove these things. But they tried for so long to get a reaction from me. And I gotta say that it's very disheartening to hear that your government's going to keep banging you down until you are nothing left because of the secrets that I know that they did. But now that somebody knows, they can't handle it. So trying to provoke something out of me and they've never gotten a thing out of me whatsoever has got to be very, very embarrassing for whoever set this up, because my arrest was very well choreographed from the whole county. It took everybody in Yardley Borough, a little bit of Lower Makefield Township, and the Bucks County Courthouse. So it was very well choreographed. They knew what was going to happen. They knew calling me that morning to suggest that I could bring over any documents that I had that they asked me. There's a reason why they called. Also, not to keep calling Josh, but they said to bring over new information, and I called them back and left a voicemail. They have that voicemail saying I'm coming over to bring over documents, and I bring over the documents, and then I meet up with the officer. I've already explained this, but I'll have to keep on going. But this was to go from not violating any kind of PFA to officer saying I did in this whole, cluster thing. And I said, I go up to the documents in Yardley Borough and said, here they are. And he says, what do you hear? What? I don't want that. I don't want it. I don't care. You need to leave and never come back. And he gets in my face and my friend Tammy told me 2 years later at the beach that he was trying to get me to put my hands on him. And then we're on the cameras. The cameras are in line of sight on the police, because I suggested we go back to the office when I met him out, and we did. and that's why the cameras were up there. So I know they got the camera's view of it because that's why I suggested that we exchange the papers there and talk about it. But instead of talking about it, he didn't talk about it. He was chasing me away. He was telling me to get out and never come back. He said, so he was trying to. He had all the camera coverage, and he's pushing. He's putting himself up into my face and expecting me to, do something when you're this close to somebody else's face, and I don't, and I just sit there and I let him do his thing, and he's frustrated because he expected the person he thought he heard about was this mentally ill man, was the rumor, was their lies passed down to Officer Glock and York Burrow because none of them got me. So, Officer, thank you, Tammy, for telling me about that 302 situation because I wouldn't have known that. And had I had touched the officer for being in my face trying to provoke me to assault him with camera coverage, it was pretty remarkable. I gotta say, when you know it's coming, when you're warned it's coming, then, you know, I was told a week or two before this happened that it was coming. So I knew it was coming. So I was going to be on my best behavior because cameras are watching and they have this footage. And you know what I know about this whole situation about being arrested that day is that I bet you they were going to use that footage to go on to the news and say this is the problem that Murphy Dell is. And then they couldn't do it because it never happened. I bet you they're going to use that news footage. I bet you they kept because there's three cameras on the building, two facing in the parking lot. So they would have been a good coverage had I put my hands on him. But because later on that afternoon I called Chief Kelly after I left Lower Makefield Township to make my report to them about the problem I just had with having Glock harass me and threaten me, is that I called Chief Kelly back that day and I said, listen, I'm gonna need the tapes from this because Officer Glock assaulted me in your parking lot. And I hung up the phone. Never heard back. Not even about the complaint about the officer assaulting me in the parking lot. Uh, Chief Kelly not calling me back when an officer is assaulting me inside there, and then I have to go up to Bucks County and tell the district attorney's office that I was assaulted by an officer of the law to ADA Caitlin Dryden, where she took no report nor did she talk to me furthermore about any details of happened that day, which is kind of weird because her name is on my paperwork against me, but when I did go there asking for help from the district attorney's office about a policeman who assaulted me in a parking lot, the next day when I go up to Bucks County to the courthouse and tell them this, they didn't do anything. There's no internal affairs in Bucks County. So this was a planned gig. The day after I got assaulted, didn't hear back from the chief of police, didn't hear. I told Laura Makefield that this happened. I told Chief Kelly this happened. So and then going to Bucks County and talking to ADA Caitlin Dryden the next day and having all that and getting her, the picture of that being there. And I have a picture of her name the day that I was there, and that comes up on photos. Date and time. So that was really helpful to have that evidence that I was actually there talking to, and I have her name that she wrote out, her name and her phone number, and I have that, and that picture is very valuable because it proves the date and time that I was there after the assault, and had my public defender had a conversation with me about the arrest, then we would have had that conversation, and the conversation that my my vehicle was wrong in the police report, but my public pretender didn't go through my case, so we didn't have that discussion either. So what they said I did and what I did was two different things, but they put it through a perfect paper trail. So this was what it really was. It was really a paper trail. They're trying to pin something on me by them provoking me to do something on myself, which is the same exact thing that Tessola has been doing ever since 2003. So what she was couldn't accomplish in from 2003 till 2007, she had to call in the big dogs, and they got involved. So I knew they were coming. So what's even worse is that I knew before Tessola started doing the shit that she did that she was going to be a problem child as well, because I had seen this from my family beforehand up in Pennsylvania. So when she started with me, I knew what was coming, so I was prepared from the beginning. So all these people trying to play games with somebody who knew that the games were on their way because I seen it before. Trying to play games and then turning it around when everything that they tried to do against the person, because I knew they were going to be the minute they didn't call back and protect Josh, it was the minute I knew. Well, no. When I knew in 2007, when I figured out that the mom couldn't do what's in the best interests of Josh, when I called the Pennsylvania Child Abuse Hotline in Harrisburg, the hotline number that goes from Harrisburg to a regional to other area to Bucks County, that the call was made. When I didn't get the phone call back, I knew that was a war against Joshua, against me. So had they had protected Josh from the beginning, had the mom protected Josh from the beginning, we wouldn't be here. Had Bucks County protected when I called in 2007, I wouldn't be here right now. So this isn't all me. They lack the ability. They thought they can control the whole thing themselves. They thought it'd be under the radar. They thought they could, run this whole play. As it was so weird because it felt like they did this before to other people. It was so. It was just felt so unnatural the way that they can get an innocent guy into their system by falsifying information and documents in order to pull me in on fake charges, which aren't it's not even accurate in the report that can be found out. My vehicle, for example, is not a Chrysler Grand Cherokee. Never owned one. It's in my police report, so I'm gonna have to post that too. It's just hilarious how do you put it this way? Watching them exhaust themselves was like having three children at the same time. I had baby Josh, I had baby Tess, and I had baby Bucks County, and they all a bunch of babies because they thought they were going to play somebody who wasn't smart enough. But when you know it's coming because you've seen this game before, they can't hurt you. They can't. They tried. They can't. All because I love my son and want to see an MRI or CAT scan. But I love him though. And they've used him against me for so many years and turned him against me. And I've seen him go through a roller coaster in his life, up, down. He was up, then he was down, up and down. He's been through a roller coaster, man. This is worse than the worst roller coasters that they have out there. Roller coasters last usually about 15, 20, 30 seconds. Fast roller coasters or whatever, just depending. This has been 20 years for Josh. So, or 24 years for Josh. So, I'm tired of the games because I've been asking nicely and politely for so many years, and that has seemed to fail because apparently nobody understands English when somebody wants to speak to somebody like the mother who did this, and then the county and explain to them that she did this, but them not wanting to hear what she did because they know what she did and they need to keep it covered up. So the only way to do it is by going after me because that's the easiest one to do because it's spare embarrassment because no one's ever going to believe that this sick mental health man has caused all this or can say all this stuff, but I can back it up because I can tell the story because I've been telling the story. Been telling the truth. So I just find it ironic that they tried making all these moves and thinking that they was going to get this guy down and thought they were going to hurt and try, and they just tried so hard. The effort that they put in for me, if they would have put into Josh, see, that's what I was hoping for in 2007, but that wasn't my fault. That was their choice. They could have called another county in, and they could have had somebody. They could have done a real investigation instead of just sweeping under the rug. They could have called another county in and had them do the investigation. It looked like it was fair for Josh. So we would have found out in 2007 had they had understood how to take a call for a person who works for them, which they didn't. So they need to be retrained on how to deal with staff who break the law and leave a scene of a crime and commit attempted murder like she did on my son. So they don't have anything in place to help protect Josh or kids like Josh. If the parent is that unstable, that the other parent needs to call to beg for help because the kid is so terrible and there's so many things going on that we don't know about, and I need their help, and they say no, and I say and I say oh, and I say oh, all right, that's the way it's going to be. That's your choice. This is your war. You brought it to me. This is your choice. And the arrogance. We'll never get caught. We can get away with all this stuff and never get caught. We'll hold him past his time so he can't even get out and even claim missed charges or whatever they tried to play. It's a game that I'm on the other end telling because I have proof that everything that they brought to me has not worked, and they haven't had the benefit of or the satisfaction of that. So what was the point of them coming after me in the beginning? I don't understand. I just had the documents in my hand. Here, you take it. Let's do an investigation. Why did they tell me to bring it in? Why did they say to tell me to bring in the documents? So they tell me to bring it in, but once I get there, they arrest me. Funny how that works. Isn't that weird? Here they are. Didn't touch the officer. Didn't touch. They were expecting me to touch. They were expecting me to touch. They were expecting it. They wanted it. They begged for it. He forced himself in his face into my face. He chose that. Do I believe that's normal for police officers? No. Did I see the fear in the officer's eyes? Oh my God, yeah. The fact that he was saying these things to me in such a tone and such anger and fear. You felt the pressure that they were giving him from above to make me go away. Do your part. We need you, Officer Glock, to get him. He's no good. He's a mental health. No, they have nothing on me. They have only their inside. Nothing from the real world. Only what was carried on within their little castle. That's why I think it's so funny. Only what's inside the castle. Not in reality. Not based on my work. No one's ever went to my job and talked to them, blah, blah, blah. It's just magical watching them pull these little stints and trying to push past the buck and trying to, say the wrong thing and change things. And, it's really funny the effort they put into me. And I remember being in jail, and I remember being in Atlanta away from Josh, or another Christmas, or being in jail, without Josh, and for 2 Christmases. Was it 2 Christmases or 1 Christmas? 1 Christmas? 1 Christmas, yeah. Almost 2. 13 months. But then all these years, I've had without him, but he never knew what I've gone through to, be there for him. But what's sad is that as much as I love him, I would do it all over again. I would go up against That's all I'd go up against Bucks County all over again for my kid. Because they played the game by their rules in their own little world. They used the best they could come up with under, and then still couldn't break this guy. That's what I find so hilarious. I find it hysterical. I die inside. It is so funny. But to think that they didn't know I knew they were coming because they warned my friends that they were coming, and then wonder why I don't overreact when they do come because I knew you were coming. Don't you know how that works? See, if I'm going to somebody's house, I tell them I'm coming, then I'll be there. Bucks County told my friend Lindsay they were coming, so I'd be there. I was there. Did everything they told me to do. Scout's honor. Swear on the Bible. Swear. Swear. Everything they told me to do, I did. The only problem I have is when I made that phone call in 2007 that my son lay lifeless on the ground, and there's so many problems beyond my comprehension that I need your help. Please, state of Pennsylvania, not Bucks County, state of Pennsylvania I called. I didn't call Bucks County. I called the Child Abuse Hotline, which is in Harrisburg. I didn't call Bucks County directly. I should have called 911. Is what I should have done right there and then. I should have called 911, pulled all the records, and then had her arrested and said, what happened here? Or attempted to. That's what I should have done. But no, you know what? You trust the system. You trust the process. They tell us this is what they want us to do. So when we do it, when we follow all the rules ain't good enough. I don't understand. They tell us to call Child Protective Services in Harrisburg if you find out there's a problem. So I do. And what do? Say no. I don't. I find that very disheartening. And that's, the hypocrisy and thinking that when you follow the rules and you do the right thing and you're trying to protect your kid and, at least somebody come look, and I can't even get somebody to look. I mean, that's it. It's like having your house be on fire and calling the fire department up to come put it out, and then they don't show up. Your house is on fire. Josh is on fire. Josh has gotten issues with all of his schools, all of his daycares, all of his camps. Then all this medical abuse, and I need help. Please help me. So I call for help. I'm pleading for help. Please help me. Help find out what happened to my son. This doesn't make sense. This can't be true. What I'm reading here. I tell this to the person on the other side of the phone because Bucks County never did the report on this. They never asked me what I said. I talked to this person on the phone. I told them the message, which I did, but call the 800 number line, and I pick up and tell them all these things I'm just saying right now. That I need help. Josh needs help. Something is wrong. It's in my face. I know this. I see this. It's happening. I have witnesses. I have schools. I have daycare. I have camps. It all verify something's wrong. And then I got this document that says he almost died. And then it looked like she killed him because she don't know what she's doing. And it's all evidence. It's all right there. I'm getting complaints from all these places. Couldn't make that up. I'm hearing every week about the complaints she had about him. Every week it was either her or the place where I picked him up from. I didn't make this stuff up. So I'm calling. Help. My house is on fire. Help. My son needs help. Please, help me. Help. Just help. Can you help him? Help him. He's the one who needs help. He's the one going through medical problems. He's the one going through social problems. He's the one going through emotional problems and educational and physical. He's physically assaulting people. He is calling people bad names. All these things that he's learned, the bad things he learned from her house, because I don't do that stuff in my house. I got it written down. Help, my house is on fire. Please help me, help him. This is me telling them over the phone. Here's my social. Here's her social. Here's his social. Here's his address. Here's my address. Here's her address. Here's her work. Here's my work. So I'm telling them all this. So they got it all covered. I'm like, I got physical evidence of these things I'm talking about. Let me show you. So that's why I'm calling. I'm calling because I have evidence of something that looks terrible. It looks horrible. It looks awful. This is what I told the people over the phone. This is when I knew the game started. Because I was pouring my heart out. Like my poor son, he is hurting so bad that he's acting out. He's going to the doctors. He's physically ill. He's acting out. He's having problems. His focus. He's not listening. This is what everybody's reporting to me. And I need help. She needs help. And CHOP confirmed that. After, years later, confirmed what I told. In 2008, I got confirmation of what my phone call was like in 2007 by CHOP. Thank you. It's in writing. It covers my CPS call. Because the year after I call, I now have evidence of the call. It's in that report. Oh, Josh. Sometimes it's so helpful to talk things out sometimes, because she went into CHOP, lied about all of his medical stuff, lied about his seasonal allergies. He didn't have seasonal allergies. He was allergic to dog hair, and never talked about TBI. She went in there, changed all of the information and facts. Help, CPS, I need your help. Childline, Pennsylvania Child Abuse Hotline. Here's a good ad for you. Don't call the child line. Call 911. You got a problem? Call 911. They want you to call the child line? No. You call 911. If your kid's in danger, you call 911. Not for this crap. There's no reason why I should have waited 19 years for a phone call back. Either should Josh. The game's over. I asked for help for my son. I've got the proof of it. CHOP is our guiding light. Even with the lies, it's just proof positive. It's not the truth. I have child support documents. I've paid all of my child support. I've never been behind. Always been there for Josh. She has nothing to say. There's no documents on the police records about me at all. Ever. Anything like that. There's nothing in my record about anything that I've ever done that hurt Josh or her. What does that say? That when you know when the game's coming, you just get ready for the ride, baby, because it's gonna be fun. Oh, was this fun? This was a really fun time. I gotta say, this was a really good time. I really appreciate the heads up from Bucks County. I appreciate their them never giving up. I really appreciate their Bucks County government. I really appreciate the effort, and I gotta say, they almost got away with it. I mean, she almost got away with it because they've been telling me to go away forever. So that's two whammies. I mean, if it was only a even playing field, and I fault that to my education, growing up, that they made me take classes in school for government and learning about um, how the process works, about the executive branches and all of that. Um, justice for all, and where the pilgrims sat with the Indians, and how everything is good, and how America started, and they make us take these classes and pass these tests based on the fact that there is nobody above the law, and that the law is distributed evenly. And then I find out, well, geez, I didn't know that signing up with this girl. If I would have known she was going to be a court reporter for Bucks County, I would have said, oh, geez, no, I'm good, thanks. But um, she wasn't when I first met her. But my point is that she didn't know how strong I was. She didn't tell the people that she worked with how strong I was, and I called all their stuff, and I feel really good. I feel very satisfied. Like, to be on the other side of being beaten down by, no, attempted, excuse me, I should say attempted, beat down by this woman. Came out of nowhere, switched up the game, and went nuts. And then she goes work for the county, and they go follow suit, do the same thing, bro. They covered it up since 2007. They made that choice. Josh is what my problem is. See, they may not have called and helped Josh, but I knew what Josh needed, because I know Josh very well. I know what this dad needs to do with his boy. But my problem is they never came to help him. See, that's what's so, what I could say, that's, eclipse is a good word. Yeah, that's where it just, where it shines, where like it's a, she couldn't get him help when he needed help, but then when he needed to get help, she stopped all the help she needed. He needed to get, that she needed to say that he got help, but he didn't get help that she said she needed to get him, because she terminated that care. This is the lunacy that that only, if that makes sense to you, that's good. But she didn't even do what's good for Josh, so she couldn't do what's good for Josh. No one did good for Josh, and that's my problem. Neither one of them, both of them in the same situation together, they're both commingled in this whole entire thing. When I talk about Tessol, I'm talking about the court reporter, the officer, and who works for Bucks County. So a lot of times this is all, how do I put it this way? She's so boring. She couldn't find a new game. She did the same game over and over again. It was like nothing new. It was like the same, like a two-step dance. You go to the left or go to the right, go to the left. It's just her. And she just does the same dance. And she's never changed. And this is just her 1-2 step. You just get to know her beat, you get to know her sway, you get to know, figure out what she's doing, where she's going. And when I start figuring out stuff, then that's when she starts switching up her game again. And that's when I just learned how to dance, baby. Keep this thing flexible, keep this body flexible. It can dance. I mean, it can flow with the people that come into your life, like a Tesla or the Bucks County. Like, everybody's doing their own dance. So, Bucks County has lots of arms to play with. That's fine. That's different. But to their disposal. But it's fun to watch them. It was fun watching them try. I guess you could say. I didn't feel challenged. It felt very. That's why this win doesn't feel like that celebratory, because I guess they could have done something different, but they didn't. So they really pushed things right on the line. If I would have died in there, then that would have been a serious problem, because of my relation to her and my family and my friends who know about this whole situation would have outcried and known and wondered why that Mark Udell's in the prison. Yeah, I think it would have been a problem. So they kept it very close to the line about getting me agitated, which never worked. And you would think after like 1, 2, 3, You take my kid, you take my kid, you hurt my kid, you, you, they do all these things to hurt my son, think it's going to hurt me. And it's really them that's hurting Josh. So I fail to see how hurting Josh has helped him. He was being hurt because of me, which I guess it makes me kind of responsible. They were hurting me on behalf of saving her. But if she would have just saved Josh in the beginning, there would be no reason to save her. But that was their choice because the call was about the infant and the 5-year-old boy who I called for in 2007. The call was to protect him. I don't think Harrisburg knows that Bucks County chose to protect a woman who attempted murder on my son. And they never going to prosecute her because if they did, they all guilty too. Because they all in it together. Each one of them all worked hand in hand. It was like a beautifully choreographed ballet. It was a beautiful ballet. It was very well choreographed. Everybody did their part. It was really magical. They did what they were told to do from above. Somebody above made decisions that could only affect the entire county government. And if I didn't have, Brian Hagermans or Brian Hasselman or Hasselworth or other people I've spoken to through Bucks County through all these, 19 years as proof that I've been saying there's a problem, you know, they know. So they know she's guilty. They just can't come out and do anything about it because they're a chicken. And it's not that they're chicken. No, they're very bold. But I think they're afraid that something radical could happen, like change for people like Josh who get ignored. I don't think that Harrisburg knows that. Yes, the call was farmed to Bucks County, but she's a county employee, so she should be flagged for that. And in which case, when I made the phone call, then I should have gotten my phone call like everybody else gets within 24 hours after a hotline phone call. That's the response time for that. And I've been waiting 19 years. So I think there should be flags in the system. But I think that if Bucks County does get busted, I would love to be able to talk to them and Harrisburg about what I've learned about the holes in their system, about this whole thing. So if anything that comes out of this, I would love to consult with them and explain to them how kids like Josh can go 19 years without help from their government, who he's paying taxes to now and hasn't gotten a representation as required medically. So, given that he's a taxpayer now, he's 24. Um, it's a pretty shame he's paying for the same things that he never got to be a part of because they chose that. So isn't that not fair? Wasn't there a tax? Wasn't there a Tea Party, a party with T, that when the taxation went represented? Like when I called, I'm a citizen of the United States of America and of a resident of Pennsylvania in Bucks County at the time. I don't understand why they didn't come for Josh. It's Child Protective Services, not Adult Protective Services. That's a different number. I know I didn't call that number, but they took my information and the young man, Josh's birth date and his social, and they took all that information from me, and then they never called back. Well, they were supposed to be Bucks County, but they don't have any flags in the system to stop, when somebody who works for them gets flagged in the system, that somebody else, another county, gets involved so they can run the investigation. So it looks appropriate above board, but because the system's made this way, they didn't have to do it, but they chose to do it this way. So this is why I'm sitting here now, being able to tell you the story, because they thought I would never have the day to be able to do that, but here I am. And I love it. It is so great. It is so great a feeling. It is. it's euphoric in that way, but it's double edged because Josh still isn't okay. So yes, I understand that this little battle, um, I feel victorious over, and they've had a lot of battles against me that they feel that they've been victorious over, which I can't see any other than lying about the whole entire. But Josh isn't fixed yet, so I'm not going to feel better until he's fixed. So I'm going to keep on making videos and keep telling how his how it's attempted murder, and if they don't want to admit it, that's fine. But don't tell me that I haven't brought new information. Don't tell me I haven't made the phone calls. Don't tell me that I wasn't a good father. But don't tell me I should go get mental health help because, see, I'm good. Because I've always been good, and they have proof of that. But who's not good is Josh. So, as much as they keep telling me it's me, it's you fix Josh and we're good. You keep denying Josh, well, that's on you. So I'll keep making the videos. I've got a lot more to spill. I have so much information to share. But this one started out with just about the irony of watching a woman in a county do all this stuff like little children and without any care in the world, without caring for my son, whom I love, and would do this all over again for him if I had to. That's what you do. That's what my mom did for me, and that's what my God does for me every day. I thank God for them all. I need them all. Part of my life. Josh has the same thing, but he was denied that. He was denied my side of the family. And me. I mean, if that's the kind of woman that's a mom, that she did all this to her son, I gotta say, I'm afraid for the next generation. Because any woman who lets her kid hit the ground from 7 feet high and not take him and call 911, it tells me she must have been guilty as all get up. She had malicious intentions. She was not in fear for his life, because if she was, she would have called 911, because 911 was around then. She was up to no good. That's why I call it attempted murder. Because either way you look at it, if she was in real fear, like the 600 people, 700 people I've interviewed, what's the first thing you do? You call 911. Only somebody who's trying to hurt their kid, oh my God. Wait, she was trying to hurt him? That's why she didn't call 911? Because she was trying to kill him. And she felt, no, she didn't feel remorseful because she never called 911 and she never got him the best help, and she lied about it from here on out. So maybe she was trying to kill him. Maybe that's why I called it attempted murder. Oh my God, it hurts my gut. Oh. Because a month before he took a hit to the head. That's 2 months in a row. That's a track record? Plus Leo's 3? Come on, man. Come on. She was going in for it. She leaned into it. That's why she couldn't call 911. Either way, it's a wrong decision. Either way. Nobody's ever said, call the pediatrician. So I depend on all those people that I've ever talked to about this situation to speak up because they know the story. Child falls, 16-month-old falls, hits the head on the floor unconscious. What's the first thing you do? They vomit, their eyes roll back of their head. What's the first thing you do? I've asked the 700 plus people. It's a no-brainer. Everybody says you call 911 or you pick them up. Only somebody who's trying to kill their kid and get away with it, or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it. I call it attempted murder. She had her chance to do everything right with it, but she never. It died that day. It died. It never saw light again. It was buried until I discovered it in 2007. I called the child abuse hotline, and I said, "There's something wrong with this woman. Help me. Help him." And they said, "No, we're not helping him. He's not important to us. She's important to us. Tell your kid, tough it out. You'll be okay. You'll grow up fine." And then, well, wait a minute. Is that for all Pennsylvania residents that we're supposed to tell our kids that when your parent calls for help, you're not going to come help us? Is that the public service announcement I need to make over to Pennsylvania, to all Pennsylvania Americans, citizens? Oh, call CPS. We may or may not get back to you, but your kid will be okay. What is it? What is it? It doesn't make sense. When I call, you're supposed to call back. I don't understand why I'm having this conversation 19 years later. Because it's a game they brought to my attention. They said, you can't win this. I said, okay, watch. Here I am 19 years later. Watch. Let me tell you everything. But first, let me clear my throat. No, that was bad. That was bad. But I feel better voicing the fact that very well orchestrated thing that they were doing in hopes to inspire me to create some sort of mental health issues never happened. Sorry, it didn't work out, but you gotta kind of go face the music and get Josh his help that he needs. If the rest of America finds out that this county chose a woman who attempted murder on my son over my son, that's what they chose, that was their choice. America finds out that this county chose her over him, or when they find out that this county of Pennsylvania, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, chose an officer of the law who's paid to serve and protect, attempts murder on my 16-month-old son, and they hide it, that means they're an accessory to attempted murder. What are the charges for that? I'm just curious. I don't know these things. I'm not a lawyer. But she attempted murder and they help in covering it up. So that makes them accessory to that. Is that right? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But I gotta say, it kind of feels like that's what I'm at, and then why they've tried so hard for so long to bury me. But I'll be here. I gotta post. It's 53 minutes into this. I only meant to spend 5 minutes. I always meant to spend like 2 minutes on the video. I always make it longer. I'm so sorry. But I love Josh. Get an allergy test if you have kids. Do that first. Be blessed.